Welcome to JustWannaQuilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and, of course, a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. I'm Elizabeth Townsend Guard, your host. I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School. I also have 2 fellowships now, one at the Business School, a LePage Faculty Fellow, and one at the Newcomb Institute, the Greenbaum Fellowship, both at Tulane, and I just want to quilt. So today we have Seth Hackler of Quilting on a Budget. He and I are teaming up to create million masks a day, an aspiration of quilters everywhere to make as many masks as you can. We've started a Facebook group and a website, and really what they're about is a place to gather information, track what's happening, share things. Both of our feeds were kind of getting inundated with this, so we decided to do that. So we're talking a little bit about that and sort of why we think it's so insanely cool. We have already over 700 people in the last 24 hours, which is kind of remarkable to me. So come join us, million masks a day, and stay tuned for a short episode with me and Seth talking about what we're doing. You've been on the show before, so if people are listening and they're like, who is Seth? Seth Hackler is the admin for Quilting on a Budget, and you are awesome. We've been chatting since almost the beginning of Just Wanna Quilt, and you're awesome. And
yeah, we started talking when I had my first group and handed that off, and then started the second group. So it's been a couple years now. Yeah,
it's been a couple years. And you've got an adorable family. Your kids are little. Mine is not little. Mine's 16. And I don't know. It's just like, it's really nice.
Mine thinks she's 16. She's only 10. I got a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. All right, so we decided, we both were freaking out. I think it was only Thursday. Today's Monday. Thursday, we started to both see, with this quarantine and with COVID-19, that hospitals were running out of supplies. And they started to send out messages for homemade masks. And both you and I kind of were like, oh my goodness, right? Like that happened Thursday. Today's Monday. So tell us from your side what was happening. Yeah.
So it went from like people saying, hey, I should make these masks, and then a bunch of people saying, well, the CDC and the medical community don't want these because they're not adequate.
Right.
And then now we've reached a point where the CDC and hospital systems have completely changed their mind.
Yeah.
They're to the point where anything is better than nothing, because they're telling these doctors and nurses to just cover their face with a scarf or a bandana or a T-shirt.
It's so terrible. How did we get here? This is terrible.
A quilting, sewing community, like, we can do better than that for them. They don't have to wrap their face in a scarf like they're, a Wild West bank robber or something. We can make them something.
Yeah. Now, we've seen this increase in crazy, like it was. So you and I saw this on like Wednesday or Thursday. I remember like Tuesday and Wednesday, I was like, we should probably be making masks. And then people were really rude about it. And then by Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the whole system had shifted, right?
Yes, because it was, I've noticed that, it was a bunch of links on like why this doesn't work and how dangerous these are. And now I'm seeing links like, no, according to this study or this study, they're only 80% effective, but that's better than nothing,
right.
So yeah, it seems like the mindset people have finally got that, like, oh my God, we're in this situation.
We're in a super crisis
where
right now.
we just have to do something.
Yeah. So very interesting.
That's what we're doing.
So we're seeing a ramp up of, I think big businesses will come in, or even entrepreneurial business will come in and start making masks. But I think this moment of the sewists and the quilters stepping in has been super important to the story. The fact that like you and I are making masks for hospitals is ridiculous.
Yeah, but I think one of the more important elements to this story is we need to make sure people understand, don't just start making a mask, with no preparation. Like, if you want to give it to a nursing facility or a hospital, wherever you plan on donating it, call them. And A, make sure they're taking them, and then B, see if they have any certain requirements.
Right, exactly.
Because there's a lot of people that are just making them, and then they're like, no, we need either elastic or no elastic. We want a pocket for a filter. We don't want that. They're going to be single use. In my case, for my hospital, I emailed them a picture. Here's what I'm making. And then the lady said, oh, great. Can you make one and bring it? And so they actually seen what it was, and then they got together with like the higher ups in the hospital, because they're taking on, a little bit of a liability by saying, hey, staff, wear these. So, I mean, there's going to be, some level of quality control. So you need to make sure whatever it is that you're using is going to be approved.
Right, exactly. And we had an interview with Alexa from Alexa Stop. So the person I can't name because the Alexa in our room will go off. Oh, Alexa, stop. Stop. Alexa, stop.
We'll just call her Mrs. A.
Yeah. Anyway, she's a PhD student in public health at Berkeley, and she started a list, and she's got access to a list of hospitals, and so she has a 5,100 hospitals, and she and her crowd and other people joining in to call them. So there's a list out there of what hospitals need, what patterns they want, who needs them. But you can also just call your local hospital or convalescent hospital or skilled nursing, firefighters, policemen. Like, a lot of places are taking these. And again, they're not perfect, but they're better than what they have nothing right now. Or they're about to run out. So that's where we're... Now, tell me, this is a family affair at your house, because I've seen the pictures. Tell me, how are you guys going about making them? Have you become like a factory of masks there?
Yeah, so we have myself and my wife is involved, and we've got a neighbor who... It's pretty incredible. Right before Christmas, he was actually in the hospital. He was in a coma for 4 days, fighting for his life. He found out in a spectacular fashion that he is diabetic. And so now, as his way of giving back to, the medical staff that helped save his life, he is coming across the street and helping us make these masks. So it's turned into a family deal. And,
that's really nice.
I love that my wife is, behind this and helping. And she's not really a quilter, but she helps, she's helping where she can. She's doing the pressing and the ironing and, all that jazz. Some of the stuff that can keep me on the sewing machine.
Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
And what about the kids? How are the kids? Are they adjusting to all this sewing flurry?
Yeah, my 4-year-old gets excited whenever my machine's out because she knows Dad's making. So she wants to be up there and help me push the fabric through. And of course, Shaylin, my older one, she's 10. She's interested sometimes, and other times it's like, Dad's sewing again. Who cares? So depends on her mood.
Yes. Well, that sounds about right for that age. Now, we decided on Friday, so there was tons of stuff coming into, we both have Facebook groups. Mine's JustWannaQuilt and yours is Quilting on a Budget. But what we were seeing was a ton of stuff, and it was really chaotic because people were posting stuff and then it would get lost. And so we decided to create its own little group to help kind of track what's happening and gave people information. So we called it Million Masks a Day. It was kind of aspirational that we could all just make that many. We're not keeping count, but the idea was kind of an aspirational thing that would encourage people to make lots of masks. So tell us a little bit about, sort of from your point of view, what's been happening with our little exploration of this new Facebook group over the last couple days.
So it started out with, like a lot of things, I think, between you and I, like a crazy idea at a, unorthodox hour of the night.
Yeah.
Or just whenever. And so, yeah, we put this group together. I think we're already up to over 500 members, which is great, because that means that's 500 people that are wanting to be active in the community.
Right, it's true.
So it's a great landing place for information or all the different
Seth, we're up to 700
so
we're up to 700 members.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're going quick.
We're going quick.
So it's a great place for, because there's more than one way to make these masks. And I think we've got a good variety of patterns, and the resources in the group are growing.
Yeah.
The amount of people, from the medical field and the crafting, sewing, quilting community.
Yeah.
It's growing. So I think it's a great little central location for if you want to be involved and you need some information. It's a great spot. And then of course the website too that you and Sid put together looks awesome.
Yes, that
millionmassaday.com for anyone that wants to check it out.
And what we were trying to do with that is, and we'll keep working on it, is, again, the same sort of, I think we're about centralizing information so that you can go someplace and get a sense of sort of what's happening and what other people are doing. And so that the Facebook is really our main place of conversation. But we also wanted something that was sort of concrete. So it's got a number of patterns on there. It's got Alexa's list that will be growing. And as we see more companies, or more, like AccuQuilt is putting on a demonstration tomorrow for those who have AccuQuilt systems. So as we see these things, we'll add it to the Facebook group so we have a place that's kind of consistent in terms of, some place you can just go. And so sometimes the Facebook page is a little chaotic. So if you're not used to sort of how that works. So that was sort of our effort, is about information. I also think what's really important is the message. And I think that for us, like you and I, we are such good friends, and I really do. Your family is awesome, and I just feel like you're part of our core. And I just feel like the thing that we really also want to get across is, like, you and I come from really, we come from different worlds and not different worlds, right? We both love our families. We both are totally into quilting. But this isn't about like being a Republican or being a Democrat. This is about like the country coming together to help people, to give our health organizations the things they're asking for. They're asking for them. And so I think that's really important too, in terms of our message, is like, put aside any weirdness you have and just start making masks.
See, and that's the great thing. That's the great thing with quilting in general. Like my group, I think I would almost venture to say that we probably have at least one person from every country in the world. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
It's a crazy idea to say, but I mean, we've got people from small islands and countries like I've never heard of in there. And we've got Muslims, Christians, atheists. That's the great thing about the quilting community, is like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're a quilter, you're a quilter.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the nice thing about this project here. I am, I guess I would classify myself as a Republican, and I'm a truck driver, and I'm kind of a, normal Midwestern guy.
Yeah.
And here you are, like a highly educated, super Democrat. I would almost say feminist, but not.
I am a feminist. I'm a pink hat wearing feminist completely. Like, I'm proud of it. Yes.
Like, who would have ever thought that our paths would have crossed? And then thanks to quilting, not only have they crossed, but we've realized, like, holy cow, we have so much more in common than we do not in common. And it's really great. It's turned out great. And, 2 years after a friendship started, look what we're doing now.
I know, it's amazing. Awesome. It really is. It's really amazing. I hope that this crisis in every way is over quickly, and I certainly hope that the medical community gets all of the equipment they need, and that industry comes in But at this early stage, it's the sewists and the quilters that are pitching in to really, fill that gap. And that's why we're doing it.
Well, and I want to say, while I have a chance, these people haven't become official sponsors of the project, but these people have sponsored my group with prior things. So Coates and Clark, the Jaftex family of fabrics, the Martelli Enterprises, their cutting mats and rotary, they have all sponsored my group, and thanks to their prior sponsorship, that's what's making it possible on my end to make all these masks.
That's so true. I mean, I have to say, Jaftex is
stuff that was given to me, fabrics. I mean, very generous.
Yes, and we've had that same experience with many of those companies and others. And I think that this is an interesting moment. I also feel like it. I'm a cultural historian by training, so what I study is war and catastrophe. That was what I did as a grad student, and so these moments where the civilian population, the general population, is asked to step up and help happens in many situations, right? World War I, World War II, knitting for the troops in World War I. And so we're part of something right now. It's important. And I don't know. I feel like it's an important moment in our world, in our community. And it's really nice to be working on this with you.
Yeah, I'm glad it's something, it's something worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I know that they're trying to get industry to ramp up the production of the proper, N95 masks and face shields and so on. But even as those come, there's still going to be a while before they catch up. And what we're doing with these fabric and homemade masks is the people that are less crucial that can get away with the fabric mask can use those, and then the proper masks can be given, to the nurses and doctors, or they're using them as covers over their proper masks to prolong the life. So, I mean, this is a pretty important thing for anybody that wants to get involved. It's not just time wasted for sure.
And it's so funny because the quilting and sewing community, especially the quilting community, is so insanely generous. I keep saying, we need a metrics to sort of know how many charity quilts we are making as a group, but tens of thousands of these, throughout the country, where people make all of these quilts with their own money, and then they give them away to strangers that they never even see. So that's sort of in our nature as quilters to be incredibly generous and with our time and our resources for others. And so this is right in where we sit. This is what we do in terms of who we are as quilters. And I think that's something that world should know about,
Yeah, there's a group that I believe their name is Quilts of Compassion, and they're out of Ohio. And I mean, they drive to natural disaster areas and hand out quilts. So they're not just local. I mean, they're going all around the country to try to provide comfort. And that's the other nice thing that I like about being part of the quilting community is I always say that, nobody makes a quilt, generally out of anger. Normally it's because you're loving someone, you're trying to give somebody comfort, or, and nobody ever gets a handmade quilt and is like, oh, crap, they made this for me. So quilting to me is it's very positive. It's very loving as a whole. And I found that most quilters are like that. They're very generous and loving and trying to do good. It's
seriously true. The other thing is that I think about these quilts, these masks going out there. What I'm seeing, they're beautiful. Everybody's using really cool fabric, and I just think about somebody ill in a hospital getting, if it becomes that the staff doesn't need it, but they're giving them to the patients or whoever, or even a nurse or a doctor that comes in with one of these, it's got to make it less scary. I mean, maybe it's more scary because they don't have professional equipment, but just the nice cheeriness of all of it makes me really happy too. That we're putting out a little bit of love and prettiness out in the world when things are so dire and horrible.
Yeah, we're trying to make it our more colorful fabrics to be the masks, and then if you got a dark maroon or a black or something, make those the ties, so that way the main portion of the mask, when somebody walks in wearing it, it can be bright or it can be flowery or whatever. You know, because there's going to be children, unfortunately, that are in there for any number of situations. So when the doctor comes in and, you know, they got this bright, silly mask on, that might make it less scary. And not to mention, you know, with everything that's going on, it doesn't hurt to have a little humor injected or a little brightness or, you know, something other than the standard dark blue scrubs or white scrubs or whatever.
Yeah. So I say, don't be scared about making masks. And I think the other thing that I'm seeing, and then we can end this, but one of the things I'm seeing is people are very nervous about, well, which pattern, and like there's a lot of hesitation because we as quilters like to do things the right way. And I think what you're saying is, you know, ask your hospital or make them and see which hospitals are taking your pattern. Make them, you know, that don't be scared about the making part of it. You know, there's a lot of patterns out there. There's a couple on our website that have become like really standard. You can also just, and I think that list is going to get bigger. We'll sort of know more about it, but you know, just making them, start making them. They're all pretty much the same pattern. I don't know, just don't be afraid because you don't know exactly which one to make is all I'm saying. You do need to check and see if a lot of the hospitals don't have any preference. They don't care. So, you know, that's important too to know, you know?
Yeah, my suggestion for kind of a general script would be call the hospital, tell them you're a quilter in the area, tell them you want to provide masks. Who do you need to talk to? They're probably going to transfer you to somebody that's an admin. Mine was a patient advocate, quality care control person is who I'm dealing with. And then I kind of explained what I was doing. She gave me an email. I emailed her pictures, and then I brought one up there. So it would help whatever kind you're thinking, make one or have pictures and then say, hey, I can email you a couple. Here's what I can make. And then let them pick, and then they'll probably ask you to make one or two, whatever, and you can bring it up and say, here's how I would make these, and then they can tell you yes or no, because, you know, you'd hate to make 50 of them and then them say, well, we really don't want elastic because it chafes the ears, or we really don't want a pocket, you know, we're not going to use filters or so on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just check first, but if that hospital says no, call somewhere else because there will be somebody. I just got a call today, the preachers at the hospitals. You know, there's so many more people than doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
The clergy staff at the hospitals going around trying to give people comfort right now. They're requesting masks as well because they're in and out of the patient rooms.
Yeah. That's craziness.
There's a need somewhere. If you make them, somebody will use them. They
really will. It's true. It's really, really true.
Yes.
Well, I adore you, and we're talking a lot. But I thought we'd just do a quick hello, and so we can post this. It's all super important, and so it's you know.
And if you're listening, Million Masks a Day on Facebook or millionmasksaday.com on the internet. We're looking for anyone to get involved that wants to get involved.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. And if you're somebody who has a group or a hospital or anyone who wants to come on the show, you can email me at Townsend@Tulane, TOWNSEND @Tulane.edu, and we can set up a time to chat. If you want to get your message out or you have a group that you'd like us to feature, let us know and we'll put you on. All right. Well, you're cool with me posting this besides the dropout, which we have to get out before I post it. You're good with it? Okay, cool. All right, hold on.
Let's let people know what we're doing.
Okay, fabulous. All right, hold on. So you've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. And I'm Elizabeth Townsend Garr. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.